Welcome back, everybody, to our second episode of Snow Search, our long-range look at what's going to happen beyond the 7-day forecast. I'm meteorologist Joe Martucci. I'm hanging out in New Jersey with the press of Atlantic City. We got my weather brother, Sean Sublette, here over to my right. Sean, what's going on?
We are enjoying some sunshine here in Central Virginia. I'm at the Richmond Times Dispatch in Richmond, Virginia. And, we've been very fortunate, if you like relatively warm weather. The Thanksgiving holiday was very nice. But as you and I have discussed, we're still kind of looking here, not so much in the next 6 or 7 days, but beyond that, some symptoms or some suggestions that there will be more cold across the eastern part of the United States.
Yeah, exactly. So it does look like, as we were talking about in our winter outlook, that winter's going to come early this year. And you can check out our Across the Sky podcast, wherever you get your podcasts for more on that. But yes, as Sean said, it's not the 7-day forecast. We're really looking at the 7 to 10 or 14-day period in general trends. We can't tell you, hey, it's going to snow on December 6th and there's going to be 8 inches of snow in Raleigh, North Carolina. But we can point out some trends of what could happen here. So this is a look at our temperatures as we go over the next couple of days. So you see the milder air early next week, early on the week of the 5th. And then eventually we're going to actually do a flip where the Northeast getting into the Mid-Atlantic and parts of the South actually get that chillier air, and we have that ridge over to the west. Sean, anything on that?
Yeah, sometimes you'll hear people call this the PNA or the Pacific North American pattern. So there's lots of different patterns. It's an alphabet soup of these climate oscillations that we're talking about, but this is one of them. When we have chilly air in the eastern United States, we often have warmer or milder air in the western United States and vice versa. And this is one of those patterns that we kind of envision starting to flip as we go into the second week of the forecast period.
Yeah, exactly. And something we're watching out for is the Arctic Oscillation. There's all these different acronyms we talk about during the winter. The AO, which is the Arctic Oscillation, the NAO, the North Atlantic Oscillation, the PNA, the QBO. We won't go further with the alphabet soup, but we will talk to you about what this Arctic Oscillation means. So when we're in a positive state, it's a strong jet stream here. And the jet stream is the river of air that separates two air masses. Typically, for where we're talking about, Jersey, Pennsylvania, Virginia, North Carolina, that means the jet stream stays to our north and we get some of that milder air. But in a negative Arctic oscillation, it's a weaker and wavier jet stream. Sometimes we do get that warmer air flowing all the way up the East Coast, but sometimes we get that colder air diving down into the East Coast. And as we take a look at our Arctic oscillation forecast, Sean, we are looking quite negative. Not only now, but we're going to get more negative as we go into next week and in staying negative beyond.
Yeah, the Arctic oscillation is one of these metrics that we talked about. When you have that very strong jet stream from effectively west to east, a stronger polar vortex, if you will, the cold air gets bottled up. So when that oscillation goes negative, you have those dips, and some of those dips southward of that colder air can lend themselves to more storminess, especially in the eastern part of North America. But the dip has to be in the right spot for it all to kind of play out. So that's why we look at all these oscillations in tandem to look for some statistical clues, some mathematical cues and physical cues as to how the atmosphere is going to look in general over a broad area 7, 14, 21 days from now. And what we're looking at there is the 35-day Arctic oscillation forecast. And we don't look at just one piece we don't look at just one model. We look at a huge ensemble of models, and that's why it's such a messy little graphic. But the key here is that you look at that red line going down and then staying down below the zero line. And all those areas shaded in blue, that's the ensembles, or what you running all these different versions of the models, but they're all kind of coagulating there to one general idea of being negative. And that's why we think there's a much better chance it's going to be colder later on in December.
Yeah, and remember, we can also get shots of warm air during this time. I think a good way to put it is extremes, well above average and then well below average. So we're certainly going to get our cold shots. We'll certainly get some milder shots as well. I forgot this in our alphabet soup, the MJO. This is the Madden-Julian Oscillation. This is also similar to the AL, where we're looking at a bunch of different tweaks to the same model. We're making an ensemble, and that thicker line that you see there, that is what the ensemble mean is. And for us, we're really looking at, what's going to happen throughout that green and that blue part here on this. So you look at the green, we're going from a 3 to a 4. For us, that's typically not giving us a strong signal for cold or snow, but it's that blue line, and we'll talk about this in next week's Outlook, that blue line, the 11th to the 17th, it goes into 6 and 7, and even that purple line that goes to the 24th, that's usually a strong signal that, hey, colder air is coming, and there is always the potential for some winter storms with that as well.
Yeah, man, because again, this is one of these things. The MJO is the Madden-Julian oscillation. And it's basically a big cluster of upward motion in the atmosphere that lends itself to thunderstorm development going all the way around the Earth near the tropics. And it typically takes 30 to 60 days to do so. It's also known as the 30 to 60 day oscillation. And when that oscillation kind of works its way around to our part of the world, it does have repercussions on jet stream flow. And that's one of the reasons that we do take a look at it.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get into a little bit of a day-by-day look of what we could expect for next week. Remember, we're talking about the week of December the 5th here. So we start out December 5th at 10 a.m. What do we got going on here, Sean?
Well, I think initially we're going to have the milder air. There's no sign of real Arctic air getting back into the United States or Eastern United States where we're focused on. And remember, we're talking about areas from the Middle Atlantic here, from Jersey and Pennsylvania down into North Carolina. But we do expect a switch to take place during the second week of January, and there's the opportunity for some colder air to slide down from the Canadian prairies and the Canadian Arctic and reaching into the eastern part of the United States. And again, we're not saying there's going to be a snowstorm on December 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, but we are saying that we do see some signals out there that favor cold air, the dip in the jet stream in the eastern half of the United States. And those are things we're going to need in the first place if we're even going to get a significant snow.
Yeah, and Sean, I just want to clarify for everybody. You said second week in January. I think you meant second week in December.
I've got a cold. You're right. I'm sorry. You're sorry.
It's all right. It's yes. Monday morning when we're doing this. So you got to excuse our brains a little bit.
After Thanksgiving, I've got a cold, the food coma, the whole bit. But yes, thank you, Joe, for correcting me.
Yeah, no. It's all good. Sean's point, second week of December. So we're talking really more so, not so much the 5th, but as we go later into that week and into the following week where we expect that bigger shot of cold to come. But what's going to happen is you see this low pressure system kind of staying to our west as we go into the 7th and 8th. That's going to bring for us rain. It's going to be wet and it's going to be warm. And we were saying this last week, we're talking about this week right here, the week of the 28th. When it's wet, it's warm, and when it's dry, it's kind of seasonable or even a little bit below average here. And we saw that on Sunday where, many places got up to the 60s, but we had rain.
Oh, yeah.
Now, as we go into the, middle of next week, the 7th and 8th, kind of expecting the same thing here. But on the backside of that, some chillier air should come back in. And then you even can see at the top left corner of this screen, some of those purples over there in Alaska and Northwest Canada. That is a good shot of coming down our way, Sean, as we go into the following week, as we're talking about the week of December 12th. Yeah,
that's one of the things I'm really kind of thinking about much later on in the month of December. It's kind of like an extension of the dreaded polar vortex. It's some of the coldest air in the entire northern hemisphere. And so that's what we're thinking has a shot to be here mid-month, let's say 16th, 17th, 18th of the month.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot to get through before then. And again, things change. But in terms of looking for an opportunity for snow, you got to look pretty hard for right now, but we do see a little hint possibly here or there.
Absolutely. So just to recap here what we have going on, this is your 5th to 9th forecast for December. 50s and 60s for the early part of the week. Stormy midweek, but we're on that warmer right side of the storm here. So warm and wet, probably going to be windy too. But on the back side of that, cold and wintry air to follow. And if we were to add a fourth one here below it, we would tell you that, hey, it does look like some more serious cold, maybe some more sustained cold coming for the middle part of December there. So that's it, Sean. We are on episode 2 already of this.
Yeah. But, as we look ahead to this coming weekend for the shorter term, this coming weekend actually looks reasonably decent. I mean, if you want to be outside, it doesn't look wet, and it does look relatively mild for early December.
Yeah, it does. And we're talking about, December, what is it, the 3rd, 4th, and
3rd,
5th?
4th, yeah.
Yeah, 3rd and 4th there. So, looking nice there. So I'd say, everybody, so we're going to be back with you next week. I'm actually going to be in sunny Florida on Monday, so we're not going to do anything on Monday, but we're going to hope to get this to you on Tuesday here. You can follow us all right above our heads. You can follow Sean on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And if you want to check out our Across the Sky podcast, you can see our full winter outlook there. Take care, everybody.
Take care.